The blade sang against the whetstone, a low metallic whisper that echoed through the stone chamber. Marcus Aurelius Corvus worked the edge with practiced precision, his calloused hands moving in rhythms older than spaceflight itself. The Gladius was not standard issue for the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. But then again, Marcus was not a standard peacekeeper. Outside his quarters, the space station hummed with alien life. The conjunction station orbited a neutral world, serving as the judicial center for 300 systems. Here, representatives from 1,000 species came to settle disputes, sign treaties, and occasionally to face justice. Marcus paused in his work, holding the blade up to the artificial light. The metal gleamed, forged from collapsed star matter and folded 10,000 times in the old way. It had been his father's blade and his grandfather's before that. The Corvus family had served as executioners since the days when Rome was merely a city-state on a backwater planet called Earth, long before humanity had reached the stars. Still playing with your primitive tools, human? The voice belonged to Junkar, a Vrixen security officer whose chitinous frame filled the doorway. His mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or contempt. Marcus could never quite tell with the insectoid species. Maintaining tradition, Marcus replied, setting the blade down carefully. Tomorrow's execution requires proper preparation. Tradition. Zha's translator unit made the word sound almost mocking. Your species clings to such things. The condemned is Zalder of the Braxis Syndicate. He ordered the destruction of 17 colony worlds. 12 billion lives ended in nuclear fire. Why does it matter if you kill him with a blade or a plasma bolt? Marcus stood, his frame lean but powerful, muscles developed from years of sword work rather than genetic enhancement. Because justice must be witnessed. It must be felt. A button pushed from across a room is not justice. It is merely deletion. Barbaric, Zia-Vakar clicked. Perhaps, Marcus acknowledged. But effective. Do you know why the Galactic Council keeps human executioners? The Vrixen officer remained silent. Because we understand what we do. We don't hide behind machines or distance. When I take a life, I feel the weight of it. The condemned sees my face. They know they are not being eliminated by some cold process. They face another living being who carries out the will of justice. Marcus picked up a cloth and began to clean the blade. Your people press buttons. The Kelthans use automated systems. The Saurian Imperium employs drones. But when the Council wants someone to truly face justice, they call for a human. They call for someone who will look them in the eye. Gigi's mandibles twitched. And you believe this is better? I believe it is honest. Marcus sheathed the gladius. Tomorrow, Zalder will stand in the execution chamber. He will see me approach. He will know that his life ends not because of malfunction or error, but because he was judged by his peers and found guilty. There is dignity in that, even for a monster. The Vrixen officer departed without another word, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. He moved to the window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere among those lights were the burned colonies, the world Zalder had destroyed. 12 billion souls crying out for justice. Sleep came slowly that night. It always did before an execution. Marcus had served as the station's executioner for 15 years, and in that time, he had taken 37 lives. He remembered every face, every name. His father had taught him that an executioner who forgot the faces of the condemned was no better than a murderer. We are not killers, Marcus, his father had said on his deathbed. We are the final servants of justice. Every life we take must weigh upon us, or we lose our humanity. Morning arrived with the artificial dawn cycle. Marcus dressed in traditional robes, red trimmed with black, the colors of old Rome's executioners. Over his chest, he wore the sigil of the peacekeeping force, a compromise between ancient tradition and modern authority. The gladius hung at his side, heavy and present. The execution chamber was circular, ringed with observation galleries where representatives from all the affected systems had gathered. The room could hold thousands, and today every seat was filled. Victims' families, diplomats, journalists from 100 worlds, all come to witness justice served. Marcus entered through the executioner's gate, his footsteps echoing on the polished stone floor. The designers had crafted the chamber to resemble an ancient Roman arena, another concession to human tradition. In truth, most species found the whole affair disturbing. They preferred their justice clean, sanitized, carried out in sterile rooms with no witnesses. But the Galactic Council had learned something important about justice over the centuries. It needed to be seen. Secret executions, automated terminations, these things bred conspiracy and doubt. Public execution, performed with ceremony and witnessed by all, left no room for questions. Zalder was brought in through the opposite gate. He was massive, a Braxian war form standing 3 meters tall, his scaled hide marked with clan tattoos. Even bound in neural restraints, he radiated danger. 24 guards surrounded him, weapons ready. The chamber director, an elderly Saurian judge named Sector, stood at the central podium. His voice, amplified by the chamber systems, rolled across the assembled crowd. We gathered today to witness justice. Zalder of Braxis Prime, you have been found guilty by the Unified Court of 17 counts of genocide, conspiracy to commit war crimes, and crimes against sapient life. The sentence is death, to be carried out by the appointed executioner of this station. Do you wish to speak? Zalder's voice was a deep rumble. I regret nothing. Those worlds were weak. They deserved their fate. The strong survive, the weak burn. That is the law of the universe. Silence fell across the chamber. Some observers wept. Others sat in stunned rage. Marcus stepped forward, his hand on the gladius hilt. This was the moment he had trained for his entire life, yet each time felt like the first. He could feel the weight of 12 billion dead pressing down upon him. Executioner Corvus, Sector intoned. Carry out the sentence. Marcus drew his blade. The star metal caught the light, throwing reflections across the chamber walls. He walked towards Zalder slowly, deliberately. The Braxian watched him approach, and for the first time, something like fear crossed his reptilian features. You killed billions with the press of a button, Marcus said quietly, his voice amplified for all to hear. You destroyed worlds from orbit, never seeing the faces of those you murdered. You will not have that luxury today. Look at me, Zalder. I am Marcus Aurelius Corvus, 47th generation executioner of my line. I carry out the will of justice, and I will remember your face for the rest of my days. Zalder tried to speak, but no words came. The neural restraints prevented movement, but they could not stop the eyes from showing emotion. And in those eyes, Marcus saw a realization, saw understanding, saw, perhaps, the first glimmer of comprehension about what he had done. The strike was swift and clean. Marcus had practiced the motion 10,000 times, trained since childhood in the art of the blade. There was no pain, no suffering, just the sudden final ending of a life. Zalder's body fell and the chamber erupted. Some species cheered. Others sat in respectful silence. A few wept openly. But all had witnessed it. All had seen justice carried out. Marcus cleaned his blade and sheathed it, then turned to face the observation galleries. He bowed once, a gesture of respect to those who had lost loved ones in Zalder's attacks, then walked from the chamber. In his quarters later, he recorded the details in his family's ledger, an ancient book passed down through generations. Name, crime, date of execution. Zalder of Braxis Prime joined 37 other names in Marcus's personal record. Shkar found him that evening, still writing. The council is pleased, the Vrixen officer said. The families expressed satisfaction. There were no protests, no accusations of injustice. You performed your duty well. I always do, Marcus replied, closing the ledger. I think I understand now. Shkar continued, his mandibles moving thoughtfully. Why humans do this. Why you maintain this tradition. Oh, it is not about the condemned. It is about the executioner. You carry the weight so that others do not have to. You look into the eyes of the guilty and remember their faces, so that justice is not merely an abstract concept. You make it real. Marcus nodded slowly. My father used to say that every civilization needs someone willing to dirty their hands with the necessary evil of taking a life. But that person must never become comfortable with it. Must never forget the gravity of what they do. That is why we remember. That is why we maintain the old ways. It is heavy burden, Char observed. It is, Marcus agreed. But someone must bear it. The Vrixen officer departed, leaving Marcus alone once more. He moved to his window, looking out at the stars. Tomorrow, there would be other duties. Training exercises, security reviews, the mundane work of station life. But today, justice had been served in the old way, witnessed and remembered. Marcus placed his hand on the gladius hilt. The blade was clean, polished, ready for the next time it would be needed. He hoped that time would be long in coming, but he knew it would come eventually. It always did. Somewhere in the depths of the station, victims' families slept peacefully for the first time in years. Somewhere, criminals reconsidered their plans, having witnessed what awaited those who chose the path of atrocity. And somewhere, in the halls of the Galactic Council, officials marked another successful execution carried out by humanity's ancient tradition. Marcus Aurelius Corvus, executioner, sat in his chamber and sharpened his blade. Not because it needed sharpening, but because the ritual brought him peace. The stone sang against the metal, a song of justice and memory, of tradition and duty. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps another execution, perhaps a diplomatic crisis, perhaps nothing at all. But whatever came, Marcus would face it as his ancestors had faced their challenges for 3,000 years, with honor, with duty, with the weight of justice carried willingly on his shoulders. The blade gleamed in the artificial light, a tool of death and a symbol of humanity's commitment to justice. Not the easy justice of distant buttons and automated systems, but the hard justice of facing consequences directly, of looking into eyes and seeing the soul within before ending it. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, Marcus reflected. Not technology or weapons or diplomatic skill, though they possessed all those things. No, humanity's true gift was their willingness to do the difficult things, to carry the burdens others would not, to stand in the gap between civilization and chaos and say, this far and no further. The whetstone sang. The blade gleamed. And Marcus Aurelius Corvus, executioner, prepared himself for whatever tomorrow might bring.